Hey there, it's Jamila. And for those of you who are new to my channel or this is the first time watching one of my videos, I am a transformation life coach and I serve high-powered women coaches, executives, and business owners. High-powered in the sense that they have the work ethic and attitude of a high performer, a strong, driven woman, and also high-powered in the sense that that is the type of results they get when we work together because they bring all those qualities of being driven and knowing how to be successful into the process. So today I am talking about one of the biggest barriers to being confident and stepping out into the world confidently, and that is forgiving ourselves, because it's very hard to stand out and potentially put yourself at risk for being teased or made fun of, or people giving you commentary when you are holding tons of grudges and lots of just negative feelings towards yourself. You're not going to allow yourself to become more vulnerable by putting yourself out there. Because if you're beating yourself up and you're tearing yourself down and you're insulting yourself, then chances are you are going to conclude that that is the type of feedback you're going to get from others if you put yourself out there. So let's talk about what it looks like when you don't forgive yourself, okay? How this can be showing up for you on a daily basis. So one of the first ways is, I kind of touched on it a little bit already, is that negative self-talk. So because you haven't forgiven yourself for some choices, for some decisions, for some mistakes that you've made that perhaps caused some very serious consequences in your life, you continue to browbeat yourself and beat yourself up in your head all the time, constantly. Why did you do that? Why did you say that? I mean, you just tear yourself down in every way possible, not just even just in over examining how you speak or do things, but even how you see your physical appearance. You'll stand in the mirror and you'll just tear yourself down and rip yourself to shreds. You're never satisfied with how you look. You're never satisfied with your weight. You're never satisfied with your clothes. You're just always in a state of almost disgust with yourself when it comes to just about everything about you that has to do with a personal nature. Because conversely, you may feel like, well, but I'm really great at my job, or I'm a really great friend, I'm a really nice person, right? But when it has to do with you and how you look at yourself, you look at yourself from this place of disgust. And often the root of that is this lack of being forgiving with yourself. Another way that this can show up is it can cause you to have a tremendous amount of self-doubt. Because if you've made some bad decisions, then you don't trust yourself. You stop trusting yourself to make wise and good decisions. And so what happens is you'll often constantly ask for opinions. Hey, Tessie, just talking about forgiving yourself and how this can be an extremely important step in when you just want to be out there confidently. Because if you haven't forgiven yourself, then chances are you're not going to put yourself out there for other people to find reasons to talk about you as well. And one of the first ways that can show up, I just mentioned, was in negative self-talk. One of the second ways is in self-doubt, really doubting yourself and your ability to make wise decisions. You stop trusting yourself. You sometimes can get so stuck in a loop that you get stuck in inaction. And this can often show up in our businesses, where we're so afraid of making the wrong decision or the wrong choice because we're going to somehow make a mistake and fail, that we won't take action. And we'll keep asking other people for their input and opinions, but we'll agree with them in the moment, and then we'll go back when we are in our own thoughts, unravel and just kind of talk ourselves out of whatever it is we decided to do, because we just don't trust in our own ability to execute it, because we just have come to doubt ourselves so much. Another way that not forgiving ourselves can show up is it will actually prevent us from being able to grow and develop because we're not allowing ourselves to get unstuck from the past. We're still stuck at a particular moment. For example, I work with women and many of them are divorced, and sometimes we can make such a poor choice that we don't forgive ourselves and we feel like, oh, okay, well, I'm done with men, or whatever. We just feel like I don't know how to choose. So that's it. And there is some forgiveness there because, that's needed, because it's okay that you made a wrong choice. You're not forever doomed and locked into that is the point. But if you don't forgive yourself and then allow yourself to learn and grow and develop a new way of being or a new perspective, then you're stuck right there in the past in this particular category. And I'm going to use a silly example for it. I don't know if you're into sci-fi or not, but there used to be a Star Trek series called Deep Space Nine. And Benjamin Sisko, he was the captain, and he gets on the space station, Deep Space Nine, and he encounters this alien species that they are not bound by linear time. And they decide to get to know him, as it were, and they're trying to understand him. And he keeps talking to them, and they're like, no, but you exist here. And they keep showing him the scene of when his wife died. And they keep telling him over and over, he's like, no, this is when she died, but this is who I am. This is blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, but no, you exist here. And they keep bringing him back to that moment. And he's like, why do you keep bringing me back here? I don't want to see this. Why do you keep showing me this? And they're like, this is where you exist. And so my point being is, when we don't forgive ourselves and we get stuck in that moment in the past, that's where we exist, because that's how we are thinking and perceiving of ourselves when it comes to that particular thing. We haven't moved on past it. And so in order to get unstuck from these places, we have to learn how to forgive ourselves. And this is a big area that I'm going to be touching on this coming Wednesday, June 30th at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time in my free masterclass, Who Am I Anyway? And if you're interested, you can click the link in my bio to register. But now, we've talked about the 3 ways that not forgiving yourself can show up in your life as negative self-talk, self-doubt, and then preventing you from really growing and moving forward. So then what can you do about it, right? I did mention my masterclass, so of course you can come for that, and we're going to get into a sliver, of a deep dive on it. But for now, some things that you can do are you have to really come to some realizations. And the first one is that you can't change the past. So why are you living in it? Just like that example I gave of Captain Sisko from DS9, you exist here. Yes, you can't change the past. So why are you living in it? And sometimes there's this idea that, well, as long as I'm not thinking about it, as long as I'm not dwelling on it, then I don't exist there. I'm fine. I've moved on. I've let go. No, you haven't. Because if you start talking about it or thinking about it and all those emotions and feelings come flooding in as if it's happening right now, that's indicative that you haven't healed that. There's a wound there that needs some attention. There's some emotions there that need to be acknowledged and released so that you can move on. And there's some forgiveness that needs to be extended there. Okay. So you can't change the past. You can't change what you've done. Okay. But that kind of leads to my second point, in that you've made some mistakes, but that's what we all do. We all make mistakes. And just because you have made some mistakes in the past that maybe had some big consequences, it doesn't mean that they're failures. Mistakes are not failures unless you give up, unless you stop trying, unless you buy into a negative story or a negative loop. Mistakes are learning opportunities. So because when you make a mistake, and really the bigger the mistake you make, kind of the bigger the lesson. And so if you got the lesson and you're like, I'll never do that again, then that's a learning opportunity. So they're not failures. They're opportunities to learn, even if, because sometimes we make mistakes knowing we're not doing the best thing for ourselves. Perhaps we compromised, we're making excuses, ignored red flags, we didn't listen to our gut, so the big mistake was kind of preceded by some little mistakes that we made. Even if that's the case, kind of like we knew what we were doing and then it just turned out maybe perhaps worse than we thought it was, that's still okay, because you still learn from that to never do it again. That, okay, next time I have to listen to myself. Next time when I see these red flags, I'll know what to do, etc., etc. So mistakes are learning opportunities. They're not failures unless you give up. And finally, what you can do about this need to forgive yourself is when you are dealing with other people and you hurt them, you apologize and they forgive you and they extend that compassion to you. That is the same compassion that you have to extend to yourself. Because just like you may have unintentionally done something to hurt someone else, and when you became aware of it, you apologized because you wanted to make it right. You felt so bad that you hurt this person. Those same emotions need to be turned around and flipped upon ourselves. And we need to feel bad about the fact that, oh, I've hurt myself. Not, you should have known better, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, I've hurt myself. I have really done some choices that have not served me. They have harmed me. And I am so sorry. Please, I have to forgive myself, because I would never deliberately or intentionally do anything to cause myself harm. And so that's the place you have to come from. That's the type of compassion that you have to have for yourself. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. Now, if you have any thoughts or comments, you're welcome to drop them in the chat. I always promise to stay on my lives a little bit longer now so I can engage a little bit and not just hop right off, because that's what I used to do. Thank you for the love. Again, I'll share with you that this topic of forgiving yourself is something that's going to be touched on this coming Wednesday in my masterclass, Who Am I Anyway? We're first going to be talking about uncovering your original joys, or getting back in touch with the things that excite you, your gifts, your talents. Then we're going to be discussing this topic of forgiving yourself. And then we're going to be discussing shifting from fear and to confidence. Why? Because the whole point of the whole master class is to help you learn and understand and start to progress down this road of feeling, being, and becoming more confident and comfortable in owning who you are, your gifts, your talents, your power, and being comfortable stepping out in the world and sharing it. Okay? So that's the whole theme of the masterclass, and those are the topics that we're going to be covering. And then I'm also going to be sharing some details on my upcoming new group program, Embrace Your Power and Confidence, which launches on July 1st. So really, this masterclass is going to give you an opportunity to taste some of the exercises, experiences, breakthroughs, ahas, and transformation that you can expect to experience in this program as we work together. So if you have any additional thoughts, questions, comments, feel free to DM me. Otherwise, you can click the link in my bio at coachjamila.com to register for that masterclass, or to schedule a free consultation if you would like to talk more about the Embrace Your Power and Confidence program that launches July 1st. And other than that, I look forward to seeing you here on future lives, and hopefully on Wednesday, and hopefully on the inside of my program. All right. So thank you for joining in live. And for those of you who are watching the playback on IGTV, thank you for watching as well. Take care.